The most expensive retirement mistake a Generation X member makes at 60 may look completely responsible. That is what makes this dangerous. It might look like helping your daughter, protecting your savings, taking Social Security early, or simply saying, "I'll work a few more years." None of those sound reckless. Exactly. But Generation X is entering the years when mistakes have less time to heal. And the first one begins with a sentence almost everyone has said. "I'll get serious next year. Maybe the mortgage is almost gone. Maybe the kids finally need less. Maybe your salary is the best it has ever been. So retirement can wait 12 more months." Except those 12 months are not ordinary anymore. At 35, delay costs money. At 61, delay costs money and calendar. Schroders found only 16% of Generation X respondents believed they had saved enough for retirement. More than half said they had done no retirement planning. Schroders estimated the average retirement savings shortfall at about $405,000. $405,000. One good market year will not repair that. So if you are behind, the instinct may be to avoid looking. But avoidance has a strange effect. It makes the calendar feel quieter while the gap keeps working. That sounds frightening. But here is the useful part. In 2026, many workers can put $24,500 into a 401 workplace retirement plan. Workers 50 and older may contribute more. And people ages 60 through 63 can have an even larger catch-up contribution if their plan allows it. So the mistake is not starting late. The mistake is acting as if late means finished, because these final earning years can still matter enormously, unless something else gets the money first. And for many Generation X families, something always does. Your transmission dies, the roof leaks, a medical bill arrives. Then you remember the largest pool of money you own, your retirement account. It feels logical. Why borrow from a bank when you can borrow from yourself? Good question. But the account loses more than the amount you remove. It can lose time. Schroders found roughly 1/4 of Generation X workers with workplace retirement plans had borrowed from them. Emergencies were a major reason. Debt was another. Rising living costs showed up too. That tells us something important. These are not always reckless withdrawals. Often, they are survival decisions. But survival money taken from retirement creates a quiet second bill. The money is gone. The possible investment growth is gone. And the calendar keeps moving. Then comes the harder version. Sometimes Generation X does not take the money for themselves. Your daughter calls Tuesday night. Rent went up again. She is short $800. What do? You help. Of course you do. That is why this mistake is emotionally complicated. The American Association of Retired Persons has reported that many Generation X parents have reduced retirement saving or delayed debt repayment to support adult children. In one survey cited by the American Association of Retired Persons, 47% sacrificed paying down their own debt to help adult children. 40% sacrificed retirement savings. And most families never call it a sacrifice. That is not pocket change behavior. One generation moves its future backward to keep another moving forward. Think about what that means. Your child sees one difficult month. You see one difficult month too. Initially, then your brain asks another question. How many more months could this happen? That is where family love becomes retirement mathematics. The problem is not helping your child. The problem is helping without deciding what your retirement can actually absorb. Because every rescue has two prices. Today's price, and the amount of future flexibility you give away. Now you might think the obvious solution is protecting what remains. That sounds responsible too, and sometimes it is. But fear can make protection expensive. Consider Social Security. You are 62. You read another headline about funding problems. You have paid into Social Security your entire working life. A thought appears. Take it now. At least I will get mine. Understandable, but for people whose full retirement age is 67, claiming at 62 can reduce the monthly retirement benefit by as much as 30%. Permanent. That is the uncomfortable part. Imagine reducing your own check because you fear somebody else might reduce it later. The mistake is not claiming early. For some people, claiming early makes perfect sense. Health matters. Cash needs matter. Spousal circumstances matter. The mistake is letting fear make a permanent decision before the math does. And even a perfect Social Security decision will not solve the next problem. Healthcare. Picture your mother at 80. She needs help getting upstairs. Then bathing becomes difficult. Then meals. Then getting dressed. You think Medicare handles that, right? Not necessarily. Medicare does not generally pay for long-term custodial care simply because someone needs help with everyday activities. That distinction matters because Fidelity Investments estimates a 65-year-old retiring in 2026 could spend about $185,500 on healthcare throughout retirement. For a couple? No, one person. And that estimate does not make long-term care uncertainty disappear. This is why healthcare becomes psychologically different from groceries. You can estimate groceries. You can estimate property taxes. But nobody can tell you exactly whether one spouse will need years of help. So the mistake is not failing to predict the impossible. It is pretending the impossible does not deserve a place in the plan. And when the numbers still look uncomfortable, Generation X reaches for the final answer. Work longer. On paper, it sounds brilliant. Another 5 years of paychecks. More retirement contributions. Fewer years withdrawing. Maybe a larger Social Security benefit. Problem solved. Except there is one hidden assumption. You decide when work ends. Do you? The Employee Benefit Research Institute found workers expected to retire around 65. Actual retirees reported a median retirement age around 62. 3 years. That does not sound enormous. Until those are the 3 years you plan to save the hardest. Nearly half of retirees in that research said they retired earlier than planned. Health can end the plan. A spouse can get sick. A company can restructure. A parent can need care. The economy can vote too. Your employer gets a vote. Your body gets a vote. Your family gets a vote. So working longer can be a strategy. It becomes dangerous when it is the strategy that must rescue everything else. And now look back at all 6 mistakes. Waiting, borrowing from retirement, saving everyone else first, claiming Social Security from fear, underestimating healthcare, depending completely on working longer. Notice something strange? None of them begin with laziness. Most begin with responsibility. You wait because the family needed money. You borrow because something broke. You help because you love your children. You claim early because uncertainty scares you. You trust Medicare because the system sounds protective. You work longer because you refuse to give up. That is why these mistakes are so expensive. They arrive wearing responsible clothes. Generation X does not need another lecture about responsibility. This generation has repaired cars instead of replacing them, delayed vacations, paid mortgages, raised children, helped parents, watched markets crash, kept working. The deeper question is where that responsibility is pointed. Because retirement changes the rules. The money you protect today must also protect the person you become later. And that person has fewer earning years, more uncertainty, and less time to repair a bad decision. So before you ask, am I being responsible? Ask something harder. Is this decision protecting my future too? Because the most expensive retirement mistake may not feel like a mistake at all until the calendar says otherwise.